Hi guys, welcome back to Cool Movie Ratings, and today we're just talking random horror movies because I'm very bored and I thought nothing better to do because I have a decent amount of movies to talk about because I haven't solely done many new, or I guess these are all older movies besides one of them that I have to talk about today, and I just really want to talk about these movies that I have not been able to talk about in depth. And let me know if you're comment down below if you're watching this in the future. And yeah, so if you saw my video earlier today, I posted a Dawn of the Dead in 3D video, and I got to see it at a Regal Cinema in 3D, which was really cool because Dawn of the Dead, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, such a great movie. If you've never seen it, it is a movie you need to see at least once in your life. And it is the best zombie movie of all time, and one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Something that I noticed this time watching it, the score in this film is so great. Like everyone knows the gong. I've used it before in my, video, like with the Darkest Eyes bloopers. I use that because it's such a goofy song, and it's played like twice during the movie. I think it's played during the end credits and when Steven gets, turned into a zombie. But Dawn of the Dead, just such a great horror movie, and score by the Goblin. I'm pretty sure not the Goblins. I know that they got that wrong in the intro. I saw something about that. But the 3D effect, the best thing that was added from the 3D effect, like the thing that was noticeable, I should say, was like whenever a zombie was shot, like the blood like came at you through, like it looked like it was shooting at your face. You're like, whoa, and it dodged me back. It made me dodge back. That was pretty funny. And then scene where like they're breaking into like the room, they have to break the glass with the gun, and like the glass is falling on you. You're like, whoa, which was pretty funny. And George A. Romero, man, he's just made some of the greatest zombie movies of all time. I've not seen his three later sequels, Land of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and Diary of the Dead, but I've seen the original three. I've seen Night of the Living Dead, which is great, Dawn of the Dead, which is flat out an amazing masterpiece, the best movie I've ever seen from him. I haven't seen Creepshow yet, which I know a lot of people love, so I'm definitely going to watch that because I believe it's a lot of the same cast of like the Night of the Living Dead movies, plus Tom Atkins. I'm pretty sure he's in that, so you've already got me there to watch it with Tom Atkins. Dawn of the Dead, as we mentioned, masterpiece of a movie. The best zombie movie I've ever seen, and it's on par with The Walking Dead. I might say I like I might like Dawn of the Dead more than the entirety of The Walking Dead because of how well the Dawn of the Dead blends comedy, horror, and action. That is the main reason why I really enjoy Dawn of the Dead. I like the comedy in Dawn of the Dead. My dad does not really like this movie, which I find funny, because I watched it originally by myself. He usually shows me these movies, but I was interested in it, and I watched it on YouTube. Like, you can look up Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead, and they will all come up on YouTube for free because of some weird rights issues, so they're all free on YouTube. So if you've never seen them, definitely go watch them on YouTube for free, like good quality copies of them just on YouTube. And my dad had never seen it, so I put it on YouTube for him, and he never really liked it the first time. He said it was boring, and he came with me today and saw it in the theater. He still didn't really like it, but I absolutely love it, and I think it mixes comedy, action, and horror very, very well. It can be a funny movie, and then it can be a flat-out, like, scary movie. And the gore in this is done by Tom Savini, the best person who's ever made effects for any movie, because I just love his effects in Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, which is the best effects in a film I've ever seen. And he's great in Friday the 13th and the final chapter of Friday the 13th, which is the fourth movie in 12 movies. I'd just like to point that out. But the gore is great in this. The zombies are blue, which I really don't care that they're blue. Still a great movie, and some people are like, oh, they're blue, they look fake, like fake zombies. They don't look scary. Well, I mean, I guess that point is valid, but like, I really don't care what color they are because I really, oh, I realize I should be putting this up and talking about Dawn of the Dead. But I really don't care about that. I think they're still kind of scary. Like when they're tearing the people apart, yeah, that crap's scary, man. I do not like body horror, like people getting ripped apart. I really do not like that kind of stuff. And Dawn of the Dead isn't that bad compared to Day of the Dead. And I'd never really seen that kind of gore before watching Day and Dawn of the Dead. And like the only real scene that makes me still like squirm, I guess would be the right word, is when the bikers are getting ripped apart. That is like, and it's yeah, but I realized on this watching that like the guts in the one guy that are getting eaten, they're like completely gray, which wouldn't they be? There was like no blood coming out of his body. It was just like guts, like skin colored guts. And I was like, ew. But um yeah. Also, I don't understand why there's still the weird Blu-ray controversy. I guess maybe not controversy, but why the Blu-ray is still out of print here in America. Like, if they got the film to play for 4 days in America, I would think they would somehow be able to get the film back on Blu-ray in America. I've been so close for a lot of times to go and buy that. I believe it's a UK 4K of Dawn of the Dead because UK is region free. But I have a feeling that maybe Shout Factory or another boutique studio will get the rights and release it. I really hope so. But if not, I'll just grab that UK 4K because I've heard it's a great transfer. It's got all the cuts. I've only seen the theatrical cut, and the cut I saw today, I'm guessing by the runtime was the theatrical cut, so I definitely have to watch the director's cut because I've heard it's basically the same movie but from different shots and angles, so it makes it feel different. Like it's a different type of movie, so I'm wondering if like one cut will be more action or more horror because the theatrical cut is more focused on comedy, I would say. And I love that about this movie. I have never said that was a bad thing about this movie, but I would like to see the different cuts, so I definitely will check those out at some point. And another great thing about this movie is the mall location. I think the mall is one of the best locations in a horror movie. It's one of the most standout horror movie locations because there is no other horror movie in this world except Chopping Mall, which I've never seen, but I heard of, so I'm just guessing Chopping Mall, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that it's set in a mall. Besides that, I guess. But an actual known horror movie, Dawn Dead's the only film to take place in a mall. And I just absolutely think that's one of the things that helps this film sit out from the other, not set out, sit out from the others, I guess would be the right word. But it was filmed in Monroeville, which I live here on the East Coast, and that's not decently far away from me. Like, yeah, it's like 5 hours away from me, but if I'm ever down near Pittsburgh, I'm definitely making the trip to go there because it's a huge attraction, I believe, and I think that would just be amazing to go and see where this film was filmed. And, yeah, so let me know down in the comments down below if you guys really enjoyed Dawn of the Dead. I think it is an amazing movie that every time I watch it, I notice new stuff, and I just absolutely love it. It was great seeing in 3D. I know my theaters extended it from Halloween to, like, the end of next week, the November 3rd, so definitely get your tickets and go and see that if you can. Great experience, totally worth it. And yeah, that is my talking of Dawn of the Dead. So, next up, let's talk about The Fog. So this is a film that I've only mentioned, I think, once before, which was the score video, which is a great video that took so long to edit, so definitely go watch that video because it's got all the scores. It was a great edited video. Definitely go watch that video because The Fog came in at number 7, I believe, by John Carpenter, so anything John Carpenter is great. And I just love it because it kind of is like the Halloween theme, but different. And I think that John Carpenter couldn't have made any better of a follow-up to Halloween than this. I love The Fog. I watched it the day I went to Monster Mania because Charles Cyphers and Nancy Loomis were talking about it as they're both in the movie. Oh, that's another thing. This film has possibly one of the greatest casts of all time because it's John Carpenter's absolute A-list actors that he has like in his movies. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis, who I do not know why she's marketed as the main character. She is not in this movie that much, and I like that she's in it, but she should not be marketed as the main character because she's definitely not. Adrienne Barbeau is. I cannot think of her character's name right now, but she's absolutely great in the lighthouse. I thought that was interesting. How it's like her, and then there's the other group of people, and she's trying to guide everyone. I really like that. And the end scene on the top, that was absolutely great. And John Carpenter has gone so far from even in 2 years from making these like I wouldn't say I would say little like horror movies. And then The Fog has a budget of like 1.1 million, which was a huge increase from um, Halloween. You saw that his talents got so much better in filmmaking. Like the shots that he made were for that movie were great. Dean Cundy, I should say, did a great job with the cinematography because Dean Cundy, probably the best cinematographer out there, because he stuck with John Carpenter throughout all this stuff, and he turned down Steven Spielberg to do Halloween 2, which probably wasn't a very good idea. He turned him down for Poltergeist to do Halloween 2, which in retrospect, he probably should have done Poltergeist, but that proves how cool he was with John Carpenter. He did the original Halloween, he did Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, which is absolutely amazing that he stuck around for the masterpiece that is Halloween 3. And he would end up doing, I believe, yeah, he did Jurassic Park, and I'm pretty sure he did Back to the Future. So cool to see that a lot of people started with John Carpenter and moved on to do greater things. But going back to the cast of this film, quite possibly my favorite person in this cast, Nick Castle. Or, not Nick Castle, that's his character's name in the movie. I meant Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins, if that guy is in a movie, I will watch it just because he is in it, because Tom Atkins plays Daniel Chalice in one of my favorite movies of all time, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and I believe those are the only two movies he did with Carpenter. The Fog and Halloween 2 with under John Carpenter, but it was by Tommy Lee Wallace. Tommy Lee Wallace did the production design on this movie, and he did some other things on this movie. Oh, I think he edited the film, but Tom Atkins does great because I like that he's a hero. Like him and Jamie Lee Curtis, they go and save the boy from the things breaking into the house. That is a great scene, one of the best scenes of the movie. And I think it is very funny that Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins get to interact in this movie, and they're like a couple. I think that is hilarious because they are two of my favorite actors of all time. And yeah, this at the end when it's the group, you have Nancy Loomis, who I met and was absolutely delightful. She plays Annie in the first Halloween. You've got Janet Leigh, who is the girl from Psycho who gets killed in the shower. Marion, not Chambers, Crane, maybe? I believe that's her name in Psycho. I haven't seen Psycho in a long time. But she's great, and it's cool that Jamie Lee Curtis gets to do a movie with her mom, and that the two Scream Queens are together. I thought that was great. And then you've got Tom Atkins, as mentioned, and I feel like I'm missing someone else, but just an absolutely amazing cast, and Charles Cyphers is good in the beginning until he dies. And the kills and stuff, they're not the goriest. I really do not care about gore. I think gory kills can be like, ooh, that was cool. Especially with the newer Halloween movies, I feel like. With here, like, ooh, that's cool. But, yeah, The Fog is just another great John Carpenter movie. Of course, it is not as good as Halloween. Of course, it's not as good as even The Thing. The Thing and Halloween are two of the greatest movies of all time. I would say The Fog is a great movie and a film that I will watch every Halloween, and I will add it to the John Carpenter watch. I would say I'll watch all three, Halloween, The Thing, and The Fog back to back, because I think John Carpenter's movies are just the absolute best. and he's the best horror director. But I do want to watch more George A. Romero movies, as I mentioned earlier. I want to watch Creepshow really badly. And, well, yeah, so that is what I have to say about The Fog. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. I've been looking at that 4K steelbook from Shell Factory for a while now, and I'm going to get it at some point because that steelbook just looks amazing, and I got to get this movie on 4K. And, yeah. So, next up, we're going to talk about Fright Night. I got to meet William Ragsdale, who plays Charlie Brewster, back at the beginning of the month, October 1st, at Monster Mania 51. Yeah. And super awesome guy. I was just fresh off of watching this movie, and I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was a great movie and a great introduction to me into vampire movies, because I've never seen The Lost Boys. I've never seen any of that kind of stuff. This is still the only vampire movie I've seen, and yeah, I thought it was great. Great cast. William Ragsdale. I really like Charlie Brewster as a character because he's just a great person to follow, because you feel like the dread that he's feeling, I guess, because he's the only person who knows and believes that Jerry is a vampire. And by the way, Jerry Dandridge, played by Chris Sarandon, one of the best villains of all time. I think that his performance is so great and creepy, because he basically just like, he knows that Charlie knows. In that one scene where he first confronts him is one of the scariest scenes I've seen in a while, because the scene where he like comes into his house and almost throws him out the window and he stabs him in the hand, that stuff is creepy when he's like he first transforms. And yeah, so just great villain. The director, Tom Holland, not the actor. I don't think he was even born yet when this movie was made. And if you do not know Tom Holland, the director, he's a pretty big horror director. And I've only seen Child's Play that he's made. I've never seen Psycho 2. And I believe he's made some other movies. But I think he wrote Class of 1984, which my dad said I would like. And I know CHH, Planet CHH, great YouTuber. I believe he's streaming right now as I'm streaming. Love that movie, and I saw him talk about it, so I definitely got to watch that because it's got Michael J. Fox in it. Tom Holland wrote the script for that, and I've never seen Psycho 2, but I've heard great things about it, and I know that Meg Tilly is one of the main characters, and now in Chucky season 2. I gotta do a live stream talking about Chucky season 1 and 2 now, because Chucky season 1 I absolutely love, and season 2 so far is great. And Meg Tilly, who I know is one of the characters in Psycho 2, she plays herself in Chucky season 2. So that's pretty cool. But I'm back to talking about Tom Holland. I actually really enjoy the first Child's Play movie. I think that it is, I would not say underrated, but it's got like really good reviews for this type of movie. It's got like 70 Rotten Tomatoes, which Rotten Tomatoes do not matter. I still stand by that opinion, but I do find it interesting, like the horror movies that critics think are good and deserve positive reviews, because usually those are the movies that are pretty good. And yeah, so Child's Play 1, pretty great. Chris Sarandon's in it. And, yeah, Tom Holland seems like a pretty good director, so, yeah, I'm gonna definitely check out his other work. And another great thing about Fright Night is the score. I forget what the score is called. Let me look it up, but it's done by Brad Fiedel, who did The Terminator, and apparently only two things he ever did. Like, not two things he ever did, but, like, the two franchises he ever did were Terminator. He did Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and then he did True Lies, now I think about it. But he did this, and then he did the Friday Night movies. Those were the only movies he ever did. So it's pretty cool that the guy who did Terminator score, which is one of my favorite scores of all time, which I just did a cover of, which I don't think anyone's really been tuning into the covers, but they take a long time to make on GarageBand on my iPad, but they're so cool, and my Terminator one is by far the best thing I've ever made from it. Oh, so going back to the Brad Fiedel, the best score in this movie, it's called Come to Me Instrumental. Listen to that Come to Me instrumental from Fright Night. I think it's basically counted as the main theme of Fright Night, and it is just such a great theme. And yeah, Brad Fiedel, he deserves more recognition because of the Terminator, which the first Terminator has an awesome score. I think it might have a better score than Terminator 2. And Terminator 2 is my all-time favorite movie of all time, so whenever I can draw a connection to that, it's usually a good thing. And yeah, so just great music, great movie, great acting, and William Ragsdale, super cool guy. If you have the chance to meet him at a convention, I would totally recommend it. So, that was Fright Night. Next up, I'm going to talk about Halloween Ends because it's still a pretty big topic. And basically, I'm going to keep this one short because all I really want to say is I enjoy the movie. I still stand by the 7 out of 10 review that I gave in my spoiler review and my ranking, which definitely go check the ranking out. That is the best video I've ever made on this channel. But I still think it is a sad way to end this franchise. Why did they have to end it like this? They should have waited till Michael was dead and after Halloween Ends, or they should have introduced Corey before Halloween Ends. And I do not know why they went with this for their final movie in a franchise that is so specifically around Michael Myers. Why would you go with a plot that does not have Michael Myers in it? I do enjoy this movie, and I do enjoy Corey slightly. I think his performance is interesting. So, I think his performance is interesting, but sorry, but I really do think that his acting by Rohan Campbell, not Cunningham, that's the name of the movie, is interesting, but I don't know if it's great or bad. I would just say it's interesting. But I'm just still shocked that they went with this, and it was a weird theater experience because I was like, oh no, please don't say they're going with this. And yeah, they went with it. But I still thought it was a good movie. The end with Michael Myers and the beginning were great. Like the end to end where it was Laurie versus Michael, that's what we came for. Why did we only have 10 minutes of the movie about it, not the whole movie? But I thought the opening was great, and honestly, they should have went with this idea after Halloween Ends, and like, I kind of would have been okay with if it seemed like maybe it was Michael Myers, but it's actually Corey, and like, I just thought that might have been better. I don't know how they would have spun that, but it should have been. They should have, like, if they were gonna do that, they should have, like, done it in the style of, like, the anthology idea, which, oh my god, please come back to Halloween 3 now that these are done. I know it will never happen, there's no demand for it at all, but over the years, Halloween 3 is getting more and more love, so please, give us, I know they will not give us a TV show, but, like, give us, like, if Chucky gets a TV show, like, come on, man, give Halloween 3 a TV show. I know that's so goofy, but if we ever somehow get a sequel to this movie, I will lose my mind, because I so badly want to see the continuation to this story, because I love Chalice and Tom Atkins' performance, but I want to see what happened in the end. I know it is so great, I'm ambiguous, but what happened to those kids, man? Did they die, or did Chalice save the day? We don't know. Will we ever know? Probably not. But, something else that I want to mention now, one great thing about Halloween Ends is it introduced me to Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. I do not know how this film introduced me to this after it's been in, like, every freaking horror franchise that exists. It's been in, I believe it's been in Scream, it's been in the first Halloween, it was in Chucky, because of the TV show, I forget her name, she's the main girl, who's a bully in the first few episodes of the first season, but then turns out to be good. She sings it to her little sister, And I absolutely love this song. It is contender for my favorite song of all time right now, because baby, take my hand, don't fear the reaper. I just absolutely love it, and I listen to it every day on my way to school. It's just a great song. So I'm so glad that this film introduced me to that, because it plays at the end, and it's a great song to end the franchise with, because it's basically saying, don't fear the reaper, because he's dead. And that is one thing I like about Halloween Ends. The end-to-end, where they throw him in the grinder, is pretty good. I would have been okay with more of a negative ending if he would have grabbed Jamie Lee Curtis and dragged her down with them. That would have been shocking. I know people wouldn't have liked that, but that would have been a standout moment. I might have actually liked that, because I wouldn't be against a downer ending. Of course, I love Halloween 3, which literally all the kids in the country could be dead. That's not a very good ending, like in the ways of it being happy. But yeah. So I have on here, where do we go after Halloween ends? And my thoughts are, it should probably just end. I know that's not going to happen because of money, but if they don't want to, they should leave the Michael Myers thing alone. And maybe go back to the anthology idea. I'm a huge fan of Cody Leach, who just made a video talking about this, so that's why that's on here. And he suggests his number one was to go back to the end of Halloween 4 and don't mess it up with Halloween 5. Like, continue that. And I would be down for that, because I would not say I really enjoy Halloween 4, but I enjoy the ending with Jamie. That's a great ending. And, yeah, so I'd be interested in seeing that. But honestly, I think they should just maybe leave this franchise dormant and go back to the Halloween 3 thing somehow. If it's a movie that I don't even know, that's not going to happen, but that would be, if I could have one wish relating to Halloween in the future, it would be that they go back to Halloween 3 in some fashion. But yeah, I'm done talking about Halloween Ends, because I've talked about it ad nauseum this October with the non-spoiler review, the spoiler review, the ranking. That's all I've been talking about, but I feel like I should mention it because it is a very hot topic right now, and those are my final thoughts for, at least right now, on the movie. I would say it's an enjoyable movie, and yeah. So, I have one more thing to talk about here. I have one more film individually to talk about here. Jeepers Creepers Reborn. So, did I even say I was going to see this? I don't even know if I posted on Instagram that I was going to see this in the theater. But I did during Fathom events, and I actually wouldn't say I liked it. I thought it was okay when I first saw it. But now I think about it, the movie's not very good. And I do not think it is a 0 out of 5 like I've seen everywhere. I'd say maybe more like a 1.5 or 2 out of 5. But the characters in this movie are weak, and they are played so unrealistically. I do not remember one character being actually realistic, maybe besides the girlfriend who's pregnant, and maybe her acting is okay, but, like, the dude, it's just weird. Like, he acts like, it seems like he's on drugs the entire scene. It's like, because he's so hyped up for this horror convention that doesn't end up being that cool, and, like, I do not believe someone would drive that far for that. I heard Cody Leach say that, and I really do agree with that. And yeah, why do they need to make this movie like have a cult aspect to it? Why did they have to go to the cult of Michael Myers, or not even the cult of Michael Myers, the curse of Michael Myers? But like, they make Michael a cult, and that's one of the weirdest movies because of that reason. And I do not understand why they would have to make a cult related to Jeepers Creepers. The villain is the freaking Creeper. And that is all we need. The Creeper is the scariest movie villain I've ever seen. I still stand by that. And why do they have to make him why do they have to give us other villains? We only need the Creeper, and they just completely trashed the Creeper even. Like, his death, bro, in the first 2 movies, at least, I've never seen the third movie, you would have just pulled the pole right out. and he would have been perfectly fine. He wouldn't have died from a freaking pole getting thrown in his face. He would have thrown the pole straight out and rejuvenated by eating someone's head. Classic creeper. But no, they completely trash on him. They completely forget most of what the creeper's about, like the music playing aspect. Like, isn't he only alive if the music is playing? Like, they completely forgot about that. I do not understand how this movie, like, completely forgot what the creepers was about. Like, why did they have to, like, act like the three films in this, or the three other Creepers movies were like films in this universe? Like, they're like, oh, those weren't real, but this is actually real, and this is the myth of the creeper. Like, what? Just stop trying to do different. Like, just continue the second or first movie. Like, go back to the first or second movie. The second movie has an absolutely amazing ending. Follow that. Bring back Ray Wise and do a good ending to that. And that would be a perfect movie. I think all the Jeepers Creepers fans would turn up, and I know they were specifically trying to follow something different because of Victor Salva, which still absolutely sucks. That guy's a monster. I totally agree. But I can separate the art from the artist, and I absolutely love the first Jeepers Creepers. It is my 5th favorite horror movie of all time. And it seems like this franchise is dead now, because I'm surprised that after what I've seen from the third movie, that there was going to be a fourth one, and Victor Salva, I thought there was not going to be any more. But Jeepers Creepers Reborn seems like everyone hated it even more than the third one, so I know it's going to be a trilogy originally, but like with the ending, like there's some weird thing where like her eyes go black, so they're like, ooh, sync up for a sequel. Nah, there's no way a sequel's gonna happen now. If they did, why would they continue it? Like, no one at this point. We were all optimistic about it. Like, oh, new director. Let's see what they do with this. If the same director makes this, man, I'll see it, but I have no expectations for them to make another one, and I do not think they will, because this was only released for 3 days through Fathom Events, which I don't think this movie looks like it would have a big enough budget where they could not make it back from just Fathom Events and streaming, because not everyone knows that this movie's terrible. But I do not think it was a god-awful movie. I would maybe still say it's a terrible movie, and I have no intentions to ever watch it again. But I will still always watch that first movie and love it, because the first movie, it might partially be because I'd never heard of it, or I had heard of it only because my dad told me how good it was, and I'd seen on the recently watched, it was a Jeepers Creepers poster, like 2 years before I even got into horror movies, so that's all I knew about it, was that eye, which is such a creepy image, and still such a cool image. Yeah, Benny, I totally agree. Halloween Ends, I still kind of gave it a positive review, but Halloween Ends, now the more I, think about it, and, I've rewatched it once already on Peacock. Man, why would they go with something that's totally not even related to Michael Myers for the last movie in his franchise? This is not Corey's franchise. This isn't even Laurie's franchise. This is Michael's franchise. And why would they? Why would they do that? I just don't understand why in the world they would do that. But, yeah, going back to Jeepers Creepers Reborn, I really, did not enjoy this movie, I would say, and I don't have any interest in another one if they ever make another one, but, yeah. So, yeah, I totally agree, Benny, about, Halloween Ends. Okay, so the next thing I have here are these movies horror? I had nothing to put up on the, screen, sorry, but I have some notes here. Are these movies horror? Let me know down below in the comments if you're watching in the comments, or if you're watching live with me. Are these movies horror? The Terminator? I would say yes, only because, if you really do think about it, it is a slasher movie, but with a gun. So does that make it a horror movie or not? Does that make it an action sci-fi movie? Yes and no, because Arnold is basically stalking people with a gun. Like, if he had a knife, this wouldn't be a discussion. And, yeah. There's some scary moments in the Terminator, like when he comes out of the fire, that stuff's scary. And, like at the end where he's just this, the robot's pretty scary too. So yes, I would say this film's a horror movie, but the original Terminator might not show up on like favorite horror movie list of mine because it's weird. That I say it like this, like if I'm asked it, I'll say yes, but like I don't go to the Terminator like, oh, it's a horror movie, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I totally agree, Benny. The first one is totally horror. Second one, definitely not, but second one, of course, is my favorite movie of all time, so, like, I love the action aspect of it, but Terminator, the first one, is another one of my favorite movies of all time, and it mixes action sci-fi, so well. But next one I have on my list here is Gremlins, a horror movie. I would say for sure yes, because I was traumatized by this movie. This was the first film, and possibly only film I ever got traumatized by. Because I watched this film when I was 6. My parents had just gotten into showing us 80s movies, like I'd just seen The Goonies and Back to the Future, and they showed me Gremlins, and this film traumatized me so badly. Or didn't even traumatize me the first time. I watched it the first time, and I thought it was my favorite movie of all time. And I watched it again, and that, like, night I had a nightmare about it or something. This was when I was 6, and I just absolutely was scared so badly by this movie. And, so I didn't watch it for about, I think about it, it was literally like 5 years that I went without watching it, because I still thought it was the scariest movie ever made. And then last year, I was like, okay, I know this is supposed to be a good movie. I'm 12 years old. I've seen Jeepers Goddamn Creepers. It is time to watch Gremlins and not be scared. I watched it and I loved it. And I watched Gremlins 2 the next day, and I love that one too. And, but going back to, is this horror or not? So I would go with yes, just for the reason, because it traumatized me. And Gremlins, like, the like them multiplying and that kind of stuff, that stuff's creepy, man. And like the scene where Billy's mom finds out is still one of the scariest scenes. I would not say that I've ever seen, but like still one of the scariest scenes. And yeah, Gremlins is a great Christmas horror movie. I totally agree, Benny. And it is one that is one of the only Christmas horror movies that it is the only Christmas horror movie that I've seen. I know Krampus is a movie, but I definitely gotta watch that because I've heard it's great. And I know there's this Violent Night. I don't think it's gonna. It looks like more of like a action movie, but with David Harbour, it looks great. I'm so excited to see that. And so yeah, I would say Gremlins is a horror movie because it is little monsters going around, and I believe they kill like 3 people in it. So yeah, I'll say Gremlins is horror. Next one I have here, Aliens. I do not know how people don't debate if Aliens is a horror movie or not. Like, oh my god, of course it is. Oh, now that I think about it, this film kind of traumatized me also. So, I'm not even lying. The reason I got into Aliens, I had seen Alien a few months before, thanks to my dad. He showed me that. And then we just didn't watch Aliens. And then Benny One, the man, the myth, the legend, in the chat right now, just he reviewed it, and I was like, oh, he gave it a really good review. And so I watched it, and I absolutely loved it. Oh, hi, I'm 21. How you doing? I'm doing, are these movies horror? Right now I'm talking about Aliens. And, so yeah, I would definitely say Aliens is a horror movie because this film is very scary still now that I watch it. Like, dang, it's been 2 years now I think about it. More than 2 years since I watched it. Yeah, dang. But, the scenes where, the scariest scene in this whole franchise to me is when, they're looking up in the ceiling. Hicks, who is played by Michael Biehn, who plays Kyle Reese in the original Terminator. I'm talking about the second Aliens. The first one, I think everyone says is horror. but I'm talking about Aliens, because it's more action-y, and that's why some people don't count it as a horror movie, but it's definitely a horror movie to me. But the scariest scene in this whole franchise is when Hicks looks up in the ceiling, and there's aliens crawling, and they fall from the ceiling and start killing. They kill Bill Paxton. Bro, that scene's terrifying. And I can't think of his name right now. He's in Stranger Things also. Paul Reiser. I can't think of his name in the movie, but he gets killed. That's another scary scene. And then this all leads into, like, the scene where they're in the vents. That's another scary scene. And I would count this as a horror movie, and I absolutely love Aliens. It is my second favorite horror movie of all time. I definitely do count this one as horror, because it does appear on my horror movie list. And yeah, I totally agree. It definitely has horror elements in it. And the last one I have here that is in line with Alien and Aliens, Predator. This is one that I see more people say isn't a horror movie than Alien. But yeah, this is definitely another horror movie. Because now I think about it, this was the first actually scary movie that I was allowed to watch and watched. Because I got into Arnold back in at like the winter of 2019. Yeah, that's when I watched. My dad showed me the Terminator, and then he showed me Terminator 2, and it set off from there. And I just went down a road of watching all Arnold movies, and I came across Predator, and my dad said, "Yeah, we could watch that." We watched it, and bro, that was another one that I wasn't really ready for that. I don't think, or I was ready for it because that one didn't traumatize me. That one I was just like, ooh, and I was a little scared to like go upstairs because I thought Predator would pop out and like shoot me in the forehead with like his wrist doodad or whatever. But yeah, I would say this one's a horror movie because the scenes where the Predator's killing people are very horror-esque, and Carl Weathers' death is very, very horror. And honestly, because of that scene and where like other people are killed, this film is a horror movie. Like the skinning of the skin body is definitely horror. Get to the chopper. Yeah, Arnold is great in this movie, and I agree with when people say this does not really feel like an Arnold movie. Like it is one of the only Arnold movies, if you watch it, you don't just think it's an Arnold movie. You have other elements that you think of. Even Terminator 2 and Terminator, they feel like Arnold movies. Predator feels like a movie that's not just Arnold. He's just an actor in it, if that makes any sense. But this is definitely a horror movie, and Carl Weathers' death, super scary. Or not, it is horrific. Like where he gets his arm blown off and the gun's still firing. It's weirdly comedical. And then he gets like impaled. That's a scary scene. And the death of a couple other people and the spine being ripped out of that one dude. I love Predator. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I definitely would say it's a horror movie. So those are all the ones I have for are these movies horror. And the last thing I have to talk about on this stream is my favorite horror movies of this year so far. Halloween Ends is not on this list because this is not one of my favorite horror movies of this year. Neither is Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I have two films I want to talk about, and those are The Black Phone and Scream 5. I want to talk about The Black Phone first because I feel like The Black Phone got pretty popular. It made like $160 million, which is pretty crazy for a film that doesn't have any relations to any big franchises or anything, or any famous actors, really. And I really like The Black Phone because it feels like it actually was made in the era of like Halloween, like because it was set in '78, which Halloween, that's when the original Halloween came out, and I really enjoy the main character. I believe his name is Finney. I have to watch this because I have Peacock, so I can rewatch it. But The Black Phone, the scene where the kid gets abducted is really scary stuff. I think when Finney gets abducted, that's a scary scene. And as a kid who looks to be the same age, yeah, that stuff's pretty scary to me. And like this crazy maniac played by Ethan Hawke, who I've never seen in anything that I think of actually, but I know he's in Sinister, which looks like a super scary movie, and I saw somewhere it was labeled as the scariest movie of all time scientifically. So that made sense. Man, it's 11:15 at night. I'm tired scientifically. No, I think I said that right. But um yeah, I think I would agree, Benny. I would have to rewatch this one to agree, but um the Black Phone, it's just a great movie that I think that the plot in the basement is great, and I really like all the kids who were killed before, which, bro, they're they're when they're revealed, like it's like a jump scare, bro. That got me so bad in the theater because I was not expecting that. Like, the one kid who has like part of his head missing or something. I believe that's what one of the kids is, but um, it's like shocking, and I really like that. Like the sister who has like I forget what it's called. Like she can see, like she has, it's like Jeepers Creepers in the way of, it's like Giselle who has the dreams and she can predict, like her dreams show what's gonna happen. I thought that was interesting, and this film felt a lot like a Stephen King movie, and makes a lot of sense because it was the book was written by Joe Hill, I believe is his name. It was that's like the writer's name of Stephen King's son. You can definitely tell this feels a lot like a Stephen King movie, and I mean that in the best way. And yeah, I really enjoyed The Black Phone. If you have Peacock, definitely watch it. And even if you don't have Peacock, rent it or buy it. Definitely go and watch it because it is either tied or is the best movie of this year so far that I've seen. I definitely want to watch Barbarian. I know that's on HBO Max now. I'm probably gonna watch that tomorrow, maybe. But looks great. So Barbarian I'll watch. But another horror film from this year I want to talk about. The last thing we'll talk about on the stream tonight is Scream 5. Scream 5 was the first movie I saw this year, and um, I like how I just like how they got to the point of him being a scary man who kidnaps and murders kids without showing, and made it tense and the edge of your seat. Yeah, I totally agree, Benny. I liked it that they got straight to the point. There was no filler. They just were like, oh yeah, so these kids are going missing, and now this main character goes missing, and then you follow him, and the sister's trying to help him get out. Like, that's such a great plot. You feel the dread of the kid trying to get out. Like, he keeps missing, like getting the chain out of the window, I believe, or getting something out of the window, and it's just great tension and dread. Great movie. But Scream 5, um, Scream 5 is a great, it feels a lot like the first movie, but I mean that in the best way. I love the first Scream movie. It is one of my favorite horror movies, and maybe my favorite slasher movie well, no, I can't. Halloween is a slasher movie, but it's probably my second favorite slasher movie behind the OG Halloween, and, I just like how it was a lot, like, Scream 5 was back to basic. It wasn't, I I didn't really enjoy Scream. I can't say I didn't really enjoy. I thought Scream 3 and 4 were decent, but not like the first two. I really enjoyed the first two, and the first one is amazing. I think it's Wes Craven's best film. A Nightmare on Elm Street is great, but not as good as the original Scream. And Scream 5, I thought the new characters were great. And Dewey is implemented so great in this movie, and seeing David Arquette in real life was so cool. And he walked right in front of me and my dad, and it was pretty cool because I know that it's pretty cool because I have a picture and he was like standing right next to us, and that's pretty cool. And Dewey is implemented so great in this movie because I would say that the Legacy characters are great, but he is kind of the only one that has a purpose. But I still think that the little bit we get of Gale and Sydney are great, and especially the end. But Dewey helping the newer characters is great. I love the cast of the new characters, and I love that it's Randy's niece and nephew, and that they both survive because they're both great characters. They're both such likable characters, and I'm glad they survived. And I haven't seen if they've signed on for Scream 6, but if they have, I'm so excited to see them in Scream 6. Yeah, I think right now I'd put Scream 5 at. I agree with that. 2 or 3. I'd probably put it second place, but Scream 2. I think the Scream 5 and Scream 2 are essentially tied. Um, but why would they call this movie Scream? I don't understand that weird like phenomenon of calling sequels to movies just the original title. That makes no sense to me. And I understand it might make sense from a marketing perspective because you're like, oh, it's Scream. I know what Scream is. So being like, oh, it's Scream 2. I need to watch the first one. Maybe it'll trick some people. I don't know what the marketing is behind that, but why would you, like, Halloween, why do I have to call it Halloween 2018? Why didn't they just name it, like, Halloween Returns or something? It's, like, that easy. Just call it Halloween Returns. Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The only difference in the original title and the new title is they don't have the in the title. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I haven't seen. I'm not a huge fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought the original, um, yeah, but or I've seen the original, but I haven't seen any of the others, and I thought the original was fine. But um, yeah, but Scream 5, I thought the new characters were great, and it's pretty weird because the one thing that I really liked about this movie is there's a point at the end of the movie where you're like, oh my god, wait. They make you think that the victim is one of the killers, and like Jenna Ortega, I forget her name in the movie, but they make you think that she's the killer. And I was like, oh my god, wait, is she actually the killer? But that wouldn't make any sense. And then they're like, no, obviously she's not, but they like had us for a second, and I've seen a lot of other people agree with me. And they like I really thought for a second, and I think they do a good job at tricking you because I thought for sure that Richie was at first I was like, oh, he's the killer, and then like halfway through the movie I'm like, no wait, he's actually maybe not because they like set it up where he wasn't, and I thought it was gonna be this one girl. I cannot think of her name right now. I would have to look up her name. That's one thing maybe that's not a good thing. I really don't remember the characters' names besides Wes because Wes Craven was played by Dylan Minnette, I believe his name is, who is great. He's Judy Hicks's uh uh son, and Judy Hicks is great in this movie. She's like maybe the best returning character besides Dewey. And sad that she died in the way she did because she was pretty good in Scream 4. She was one of the best parts of Scream 4. And she was great in Scream 5, and so her death was kind of crazy because it was in the middle of the daylight, so you're like, whoa, like that was kind of cool that that like kind of shocking that the Ghostface could just come out during the day and kill her in bright daylight. And I totally thought, let me look at the name of I thought it was gonna be her name is Liv. I thought it was gonna be her, and I don't remember the reasons why because I've rewatched Scream 5 twice since it came out on 4K, and yeah, so I thought it was her first, and I thought it was her and Richie, and then I thought it was her and someone else, and I didn't figure out. I thought maybe it was just one killer, but and I was like, no, it has to be two, and yeah, but Richie, they really did trick you because even when Amber reveals herself at the end, he's like run, and he still acts like he's not a killer. So it's like, oh, so he's actually not a killer. And then they're like psych, and his stuff is great. I really enjoy Sam in this movie. I think she's a great new character, and she's in Scream 6, I believe. And yeah, she's in Scream 6. So I think she's going to be she should be the new main character of the series. Leave Sydney behind. I know Neve Campbell did not sign on for Scream 6, I believe, or there was something where she's not going to be a main character in it. Because leave her behind. Let her live her life let Sydney have her life and stop being terrorized by Ghostface until she eventually gets killed, because you cannot have her survive for 9,000 movies. Go to Sam and let her be the new main character. Melissa Barra, she's great in the role, and I like. Oh yeah, I totally agree, Benny. Because in Scream 5, there's some gnarly kills, man. Dewey's death is the saddest thing in this whole franchise, because I was not expecting that. And there was a little part inside me originally that was like, oh, he's still gonna come back. 'Cause, like, this happens to him every single Scream movie. Scream 1, he gets stabbed and you think he's gonna die. Scream 2, he gets stabbed, you think he's gonna die. And it's like, and then he actually gets killed. You're like, oh my god, they actually killed Dewey. And I was like, no. But yeah. Oh yeah, I do think that Courtney Cox is the only one that signed on to Scream 6, which I think is good, because I think she could be good being solo. Because Gail was made such an unlikable character in the original one, and then she's kind of made likable at the end of the first one, and um and then she becomes a likable character by the second one, and I would say that in the Scream sequels from 3 on, she's like a perfectly good character. Maybe in Scream 3, she's a little bit not of a great character, but I'm excited to see her solo and maybe help the kids out, or like the new characters out. And yeah, I also liked in Scream 5 how they brought back Skeet Ulrich. I thought that part, dude, I kind of was like, oh my god, no way, because I thought that was such a crazy plot twist that Billy Loomis was Sam's dad, and that he had a kid before he died, which is like, whoa, that adds a lot. And I know everyone thought Matthew Lillard was gonna come back as the killer. Like, we would have already known about that. They would have been like, oh, they would have said in Scream 2, oh, his body's gone. So everyone thought that Stu was gonna come back. Like, I would have loved that. And it was funny because when I went to the Scream panel at Monster Mania 50, Matthew Lillard was like, Stu is still alive. Or I think him and David Arquette said that. He was hyping the crowd up. And, yeah, he's definitely not alive. But I thought bringing back Skeet Ulrich was cool. And my friend brought up a really crazy point, which kind of like, I was like, oh my god, this is such a cool reference. So, Sam Carpenter, which is John Carpenter reference. That was her mom's name. That wasn't her. So that was her mom's name. So she went with that instead of Loomis, obviously. But if you think about it, Sam Loomis would be her actual name. So that was really cool that when my friend brought up that point. So really her name is Sam Loomis, like Sam Loomis in Halloween. So I thought that part was really cool. That I don't know if that was even thought of. That had to have been thought of, because there was actually a script. Oh yeah, I totally believe that. If they would have done that in Scream 3, maybe Stu would have made sense to been alive, because like someone would have known. They would have been like, oh, his body's gone, or oh, he was still alive. So that's already sailed that ship, that thinking that Stu could be alive. But yeah, so that was pretty cool that they most likely put it in as a Halloween reference. And yeah, but I think that's all I have to say for Scream 5. I'm so excited for Scream 6, and it's gonna be New York set, which is up there with I know that the one Friday 13th movie, Jason Takes Manhattan, which I'm actually kind of coming around to. I'm not gonna lie, it is not the worst in the series like everyone says it is. And I think it is an interesting enough movie, and it is still on the lower half of the franchise. I'm not a huge Friday 13th fan, anyways, but I'm excited to see another New York based horror movie, because I thought the setting was great. It'll be interesting. All I've seen from the movies, like it's like in like the subway station or something. That'll be a really cool scene if Ghostface just murders people in the subway station. So I'm super excited for Scream 6. It's directed by Radio Silence, who are the same people who made the Ready or Not, which is a great movie. I've never talked about that on this channel. Ready or Not, great movie. The ending is so shocking. Samara Weaving is in it, who is going to be in Scream 6, I believe, right? Yeah. And Kirby Reed is going to return in Scream 6. And, yeah. So, I'm excited for Scream 6, and that's coming out. Oh, dang, dude, now that I think about that, that's not even 6 months away. That's almost 5 months away. Oh my. Almost 5 months until Scream 5 or Scream 6 comes out, so that'll be great. But, so, the stream just went over an hour. It is 11:30 on the East Coast. After Halloween ends, I'm thinking when they do a comeback, they will have a new story, new characters. Yeah, I don't know how they would do that. Like, might have to do a copycat killer situation where they'll have to bring back someone's acting like Michael's still alive. And honestly, this is what they should have done. They should have let Corey somehow disappear, and then Corey comes back and is the new Michael Myers. He shouldn't have been the main character of Halloween Ends. He should have been hinted at, and then he should have disappeared in Halloween Ends and come back. They decide to do more Halloween movies. That's how you do it. You make Corey the next Michael Myers. You don't make him Michael Myers in the last movie in Michael's franchise. So dumb. But that is all I have for this live stream. I really enjoyed doing this because I got to talk about some of my favorite horror movies of all time, like Dawn of the Dead, and then I got to talk about Fright Night, The Fog, and so yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. Thank you so much for the people in the chat who've been tuning along, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this cool movie. Really